It's 8:52 in the morning and you're standing in a lobby that smells like burnt coffee and floor polish, holding a lanyard that isn't laminated yet. Just a paper card and a plastic sleeve with your name spelled slightly wrong. You're 22, maybe 23. The elevator dings and swallows people in suits worth more than your entire savings account, and none of them look at you. That's your first real lesson, and nobody's going to say it out loud. The corporate ladder they showed you in college, the neat little rungs from intern to CEO, that's a story told to keep the bottom 99% climbing politely. The people at the top aren't on the same ladder. They're not even in the same building. And by the time this is over, you're going to see every rung for what it actually is, and how the ones who make it stop climbing and start playing something else entirely. So stay with me, because the jump between two of these levels is the whole game, and almost nobody notices when it happens. Level 1. The intern. You make somewhere between nothing and $15 an hour, and your actual job title, the unspoken one, is be useful and be invisible at the same time. You reload the coffee machine. You take notes in meetings where nobody asks your opinion. You reply to emails at 10 p.m. because you think speed equals worth, and you feel a small electric thrill when a manager says nice work about a spreadsheet you spent 4 hours making pretty. Here's the thing nobody tells you at this level. Your work barely matters. What matters is whether people remember your face and associate it with easy to have around. The interns who get hired back aren't the ones who worked hardest. They're the ones who learned the names of the people who mattered, who said good morning to the right director in the elevator, who understood that at the bottom, likability is worth more than output. You're being watched, but not for your skills. You're being watched for your temperament. Are you a problem, or are you a smooth stone? Play it right, and someone with power decides you're one of ours. That single decision, made in a hallway you'll never know about, is worth more than any project on your resume. Level 2. The associate, the analyst, the coordinator, the first real title with a first real salary. 50, 60, maybe 70,000 a year, and it feels like winning. You sign a lease on an apartment you can almost afford. You buy the good headphones. You tell yourself you've arrived. And this level is designed precisely to make you feel that way, because this is where the company extracts the most value from you for the least cost. You're old enough to do real work and young enough to believe that doing more of it is the path up. So you stay late. You answer on weekends. You take the assignment nobody wants because you heard it gets noticed. On the Thursday, my IT star. And here's the cold mechanic underneath it. At level 2, you are the most profitable employee in the building. You produce almost as much as the people above you and get paid a fraction of what they do. The company knows this. That's why the raises are small and the praise is large. Praise is free. They'll give you Employee of the Month before they give you 8%. The smart ones at this level figure out the trick early. Your value is set by the market, not by your boss's feelings. The only two things that move your number are leaving for a competitor or becoming genuinely hard to replace. Loyalty is a currency that only the company gets to spend. You give it away for free and call it professionalism. Level 3. Manager. Now you've crossed a line most people never see because you've stopped being someone who does the work and become someone who owns the work other people do. 90, 100, maybe 120,000. You have a title on your email signature and a small handful of people who report to you, and now suddenly look at you the way you used to look at directors in the elevator. And this is the first genuinely dangerous level because it feels like power and it's mostly responsibility. You're squeezed from above with targets and squeezed from below with everyone's problems, their late tasks, their PTO requests, their quiet resentments. The company loves managers because a good manager absorbs pain. When something goes wrong, you're the shock absorber between the executives and the chaos. You take the blame downward and pass the credit upward, and you do it with a smile because that's the job. But here's what the sharp ones understand at level 3, the thing that separates the people who stay stuck here for 20 years from the ones who keep rising. The skill that got you promoted, being good at the task, is now the wrong skill entirely. Nobody above you cares if you can do the spreadsheet. They care whether you can make 8 people produce, whether you can be trusted with information, whether you fit in a room with power and don't embarrass anyone. You're being auditioned now, not for competence, but for belonging. And most managers fail that audition without ever knowing it existed. Level 4. Director, Vice President, the title with weight in it. Now you're at 180, 250, maybe 300,000, and something strange has happened to the way your days feel. You do less actual work than you did as an associate, and you get paid 5 times as much. Read that again, because it's the whole trick laid bare. The higher you climb, the less you touch, and the more you make. Because up here, you're not paid for effort. You're paid for judgment, for relationships, for the ability to make a decision that moves millions and to own it in a room full of people who could end your career. The lunches get longer. The calendar gets stranger, whole afternoons that just say sync or a name and nothing else. And here's the shift almost nobody catches when it happens. At this level, your career stops being about what you do and starts being about who knows you. You're invited to the offsite. You get the dinner where the real decisions get made before the meeting where they're announced. You learn that promotions aren't earned in performance reviews. They're arranged in advance, in hallways, over drinks. And the review is just the paperwork that makes it official. The people who stall out at director are the ones who kept trying to win on merit, who kept producing brilliant work and waiting to be noticed. The ones who break through understood that at the top, visibility is the work. They made sure the right three people, the ones who actually decide, knew their name and trusted their face. They stopped asking, am I good enough? And started asking, am I one of them yet? Because up here, the ladder disappears completely, and what's left is a room. And you're either invited into the room, or you're managing the people who never will be. Level 5. Chief something. The C-suite. Now the numbers stop making ordinary sense. Your base salary might be $400,000, but the base salary is almost a joke. A rounding error next to the stock, the options, the bonus. A bonus tied to a share price you can influence with a single announcement. This is where you finally see the thing they hid from you in that lobby when you were 22. The people at this level were never climbing the same ladder as you. They own the ladder. They're not paid a wage. They're given a piece of the thing itself, equity, ownership. A slice of the value that everyone below them is producing and getting praise instead of money for. And their real job, the one that never appears on any org chart, is to protect capital and to belong to the club that decides where it flows. You sit on boards. You know the people on other boards. When one C-suite chair falls, the person who fills it isn't found through a job posting. They're pulled from a list of names that everyone at this altitude already knows. Passed between the same 40 people who keep landing softly no matter how badly anything goes. You could run a company into the ground and leave with 8 figures. Because at this level, the downside was engineered out years ago. In the contract, in the golden parachute, in the room you were finally allowed into. The employees take the risk. You take the ownership. That was always the deal. It was just written in a language the bottom of the building never gets taught to read. So here's the truth, standing on the far side of it now. That paper lanyard with your name spelled wrong, that 8:52 in the morning smell of burnt coffee and floor polish, that was never the first rung of anything. It was the entrance to a game with 2 completely different sets of rules, one printed on the wall for everyone to follow, and one whispered in rooms you spend your whole career trying to get invited into. The bottom climbs on effort and loyalty and the hope of being noticed. The top moves on ownership and access, and the quiet certainty that they'll be caught if they fall. And the single jump that decides everything, the one almost nobody sees when it happens, isn't intern to associate or manager to director. It's the moment you stop trying to be the best worker in the building and start trying to own a piece of the building itself. Effort has a ceiling, and it's lower than you think. Ownership doesn't. So the next time someone tells you to keep your head down and climb politely, remember who benefits from you believing the rungs are real. The ladder was always a story. The room was always the point. And now you know which one you're actually trying to reach.